My scalp is a little dry today.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
I did notice when I came in, but I didn't want to say anything.
Oh, you did notice?
No.
You bitch.
I tease it.
I think that's the sign that winter is coming.
Yeah.
When the scalp gets
You're
a
like,
bit
oh,
dry.
winter.
Yeah, winter is coming.
Have you seen anything recently? Are you?
I have.
Yeah.
I watched a film called The Paper Chase recently.
You told me about it.
Yeah,
I put it on my list.
I told you about that. I
Yeah.
absolutely loved that. For anyone that loves like films where kind of like nothing happens, it's just like guys studying at Harvard and they're really trying to impress this professor that's notoriously hard to impress, and the whole movie is about them just like working so hard to like earn the validation of this professor that they love. That's really
like, Daddy, pay attention to me.
Yeah, they're
please.
just like so desperate and so yearning for this like old man to give them a gold star on their work.
Wait, sorry. Before we get into this podcast, I want to say one more thing about last week's.
Yeah.
I just thought that, or like last episode, whatever. I just thought that it was so interesting that my movie, the conflict was like sex, and in your movie, the conflict was the opposite of sex. Sex was easy. Sex was like you sailed through it. It was the other thing. And I just found like that to be a very interesting opposites, because we talked about a lot of similarities.
Yes, we did.
But,
yeah.
like, sex was the friction in my film, whereas sex wasn't the friction in your film up until the very end. Up until the very end.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Anyway.
Lots that we talked about last week.
Yeah, go check out the previous episode if you haven't.
Yes, the very
it was a very blast to shoot.
Yeah, it was
and let's get into this.
Jolly old time. But for this week, the theme of this episode is food. So
Food,
Doc
glorious
and
food.
I have both chosen a film that we believe revolves around the theme of food in whatever way we interpret that to be. And we're both going to talk about it in a similar fashion to last week.
And it's funny that we both chose Super Size Me. What are the odds?
Well, it was between Super Size Me and Ratatouille, obviously. Like, that was the main conflict. We both just got such fine, attuned taste.
When people are like, who has good film taste? They're like, oh, it's them. Them too.
Those two freaks.
All right, do you want to start with your film?
Yeah, sure.
I'll set up the timer.
Yes, okay. So the film that I have chosen for the theme of food is The Cook, the Thief, His Wife, and Her Lover, directed by Peter Greenaway, who is one of the great, like, kind of experimentalist British directors.
I wanted to ask, is it Peter Greenaway or Greenaway?
I always say different each time.
We'll never know.
Maybe we should, like,
I'll look it up.
Overall.
Yeah.
I think it's Greenaway.
But he's a very good director anyway, as you were saying.
Crazy good director. Like, so abstract, so
it is Greenaway.
unafraid. Greenaway. Just very like experimentalist, very like odd images, very jarring, very unsettling. And this, I think, is like really encapsulated through The Cook, the Thief, His Wife, and Her Lover. Starring Helen Mirren, spectacular, beautiful. There's so many great things about this movie. I mean, I just say about. There's so many great things about this movie. So many great things about this movie. One cool fact that I found out while researching it: all the costumes were done by Jean-Paul Gaultier.
I saw when the initial credits were going, I was like, how did I not know about this?
Every time they go in a different room, it's a different costume. Yeah. You know, so like it's constantly
they'll be
changing.
and like it reflects solar, right? So they'll be like in the hallway, which like it's all red.
Yes.
They're at this restaurant.
There's different color palettes
and
in
it's
each
like
room.
red the hallway. Everything is red in the hallway, and she's in this amazing suit, skirt combo.
Yeah.
And then she goes to the white bathroom, and her outfit is white now.
Different, yeah.
And it's a very similar silhouette, but it's not the same.
Yeah, it's weird because like you think it'd be so obvious that you notice someone changing completely different outfit when they're just changing location, but like it's so geniusly done that you don't even notice it. Like really at first, it like takes a while before you're like, hang on a minute.
Jean-Paul Gaultier said like, I'll do your costumes, but you only have one woman, so I'm gonna make 20 outfits for this one woman.
She's gonna be changing every frame. She's gonna be wearing a different outfit.
And Peter Greenaway was like, okay,
anything
you can do that. I mean, not to say that the men don't change, but
it's very pronounced for her character. So summary of the film is basically about this woman, and she's in an abusive relationship with this man who owns this restaurant. You know, he's like a businessman. And she's in a really horrible relationship with this disgusting man. And
who is, I'm pretty convinced, is Ricky Gervais.
He does look very similar to Ricky Gervais. He is Ricky Gervais reverse reincarnate. Like before Ricky Gervais, it was this man.
Yeah.
I guess more famously known for playing Albus Dumbledore in the later Harry Potter movies. Yeah, it's him. Not Richard Harris.
Richard Grant?
First, no.
No, Richard Grant.
I remember his name. It's not Richard Harris. That was
I'll
the first.
I'll look it up.
Yeah. Anyways, it's Mr. Albus, Mr. Albusy, and yeah. So she's in this toxic relationship. Michael Gambon, obviously. So she's in a toxic relationship, abusive relationship with this man who owns a restaurant, and she basically seeks respite and like comfort from her life by having an affair with one of the regular patrons at this restaurant. So she begins an affair with one of these other customers, and every time she goes to the restaurant she'll have like sexual encounters and romantic encounters with this other guy without her husband's knowledge. And it all takes place within this restaurant. So each section of the film, it's structured in a really interesting way. It's like each day of the week, and it opens each day of the week with like the menu of that day. And so each day of the week it's like her in the restaurant, her husband's being a tyrant, and she's like running away to try and like escape this relationship, and it kind of escalates from there. It's about what happens.
So I need your help in understanding, because the sun came out. That's what I need your help in. No, the title of the movie, the cook, the thief, his wife,
and her lover. Yeah.
And I want to know who's who.
Okay.
Because the cook is the guy who cooks.
Yeah. The thief is the husband, the abusive husband.
He's the thief?
He's the thief.
Why?
Yeah. Because he's just like, I guess he's just a nasty boy.
He's just a rat.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, to the line.
You must be a thief. And then obviously his wife, Helen Mirren, her lover, the guy that she's banging on the side.
Because when I finished watching it, I was like, nobody stole my thing.
Who's who?
Like, I was really expecting like Sims 2, like Sims 3, you know, like they're having sex somewhere and he's just like stealing like cutlery.
The music that they played on Sims 2 whenever the burglar came was like actually like panic attack inducing.
Yeah.
Like that would ripple through my
which means it would fit perfectly into this movie.
It would go hand in hand.
Anyway.
So that's the film. It's basically just about this affair between Helen Mirren's character and this other guy in the restaurant, and it's about their relationship and what happens when it's kind of exposed, and it's about the two of them trying to like be together while being terrified about what her abusive, horrible husband will do when he does find out.
Yeah, what happens?
The consequences of that. So it's basically this huge kind of sequence where they're trying to escape the restaurant, and eventually...
And they're naked.
They're butt naked, and they get caught like kind of having sex like in the restaurant.
Like kind of like in the kitchen area?
They're in the kitchen, yeah. And then they're completely naked, and then someone who works in the restaurant like helps them and ushers them into this like van that's full of like rotting pig's meat. Like it's just a van that's full of like meat.
It is gnarly.
Stripped everywhere, and they're naked and they're tussled up and rolling around in this van. It's surrounded by like bacon and like raw meat, disgusting flies, everything. It's like really grotesque.
Yeah.
And then eventually they escape the restaurant, but her lover is unfortunately killed.
Unalived.
Yeah, he doesn't make it out alive. So
shout out to the lovers.
Yeah, shout out to the lovers out there. Really be like that.
But I found it interesting how he got killed though.
Yeah.
They went to this book warehouse thing where he worked or something.
Yeah.
And that's where they were hiding out. And then the husband tortures one of the people who helped them into telling him where they are. He finds them, and she's not in. It's only him, and he's killed by the husband by forcing him to eat paper.
Yeah,
that's rough.
Yeah, it's rough.
That's wild.
What a way to go.
Yeah,
yeah, it's really gnarly. But while it does have this really like devastating note, obviously her true love is like brutally like murdered. It does take a really fun note at the end, where Miss Helen Mirren kind of gets her revenge on her husband through this very interesting cannibal
Yeah.
scene.
Tell us what happened.
So basically, she cooks up another person.
The guy.
Yeah, she cooks up the guy, and then she makes him eat him.
Yeah.
And kind of watches and forces him do it. And it's like, it's really grotesque the way that it's like, I mean, first of all, like the production design, like it's stunning. Like everything is designed like within an inch of its life, you know.
I was watching it and on my own, and my partner walked past at one point, and they looked at the screen and they said like, they knew how to make sets back then. And I'm like, they sure did. They sure did.
It's such a contrast to like how things look now. But like when you see the body like all cooked up, it's like really disgusting. It's like
gross. She is basically like everyone behind her, like the people who help her cook her ex-lover, are like all the restaurant staff and the cooks and the waiters and everyone, and they're all there, kind of watching him do it, and she forces him at gunpoint to do it. And he does. And then she goes like, cannibal. And then shoots him. And then the curtains fall. I was like, oh my God.
It's so theatrical.
The movie is so theatrical.
Yeah.
Not only in its style, but also like the sets. They look like theater sets.
Yeah.
They're big, they're huge, they're beautiful.
Yeah.
But they look like theater sets.
Yeah, they do. So
in a way, it reminded me of Anna Karenina. Have you seen it? The Joe Wright?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Joe Wright. That movie also takes place in a theater. But it's like supposed to be the outside, but it takes place in the theater.
Right, yeah.
It's interesting that way.
Yeah. I do really like these kind of like, just like theatrical, operatic feeling, stage to screen stories.
And the acting is so camp.
Yeah.
In a way, at first, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little frustrated with Bob and all, because the acting was like so like hammy. That I was like, the film language could also be hammier. Everything is presented quite dry. It wasn't until later in the film where I kind of saw where everything was going that I was like, oh, I understand, and it works. I won't change it anymore. But this movie is hammy. Everything, the acting, the costumes, the sets, the lines that they say, the camera work, it's all very hammy.
It's so
camp. I love it.
And extravagant and gorgeous. So yeah, that's The Cook, the Thief, His Wife and Her Lover. And the reason I chose it for the theme of food is...
Well, we can get into that a bit later.
We'll get into that.
Let me talk about my movie first.
Food is present, so we'll get into that.
There's a lot of food and human
Certainly
food.
a lot of food, yeah.
A human turned into food.
Yes,
How about
exactly. So it's no human centipede, but it is...
Yeah.
something.
Rough.
Anyway.
Those two movies put in the same sentence.
Interesting. We're on to something, I think. Do you want to tell everyone about the film that you chose?
Yeah. Do you want to put a timer for me?
Yeah, sure. 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Cool. 10 minutes on the clock.
Okay. So the movie I chose was Daisies by Vera Tchilova. I don't know if that's how you say her name. That's how I say it.
Sounded pretty right, the way you said it.
Rip to the goat.
Yeah.
Kiss to heaven.
For real, yeah.
So I love this movie. And weirdly, so there's this very pretentious thing that I do, that I love doing, is that I love going to museums, especially ones where I've already been. And I like sitting and watching people instead of the art, because I like to see how people look at the art. Actually, a tangent, my first job was in a museum, and I would follow people around without them knowing, writing down what they said, drawing a path of where they went, and then reporting it to HR and the people saying, and then being like, and then she said this. They were like, no, take her out. No. More so like reporting it to the museographer?
Okay.
Well, whatever.
I don't know.
The curator and the guy who works and all that. So that they know exactly what people are interested in, what they're saying, and if something isn't working, HR did take a look at it, because if they were like actively spending time around fire exits, they were like, okay, we have to move stuff so that doesn't happen.
Okay.
But anyway, I like seeing how people look at art, and this movie is very interesting in that regard, because everyone's journey, at least everyone I've seen so far, including me, everyone's journey with this film is that they start watching it and they make it like 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and they're like, what
The hell
am I
is
watching?
going on?
Not only like, what the hell is this movie? Like, sometimes it can honestly come across as garbage, like as like nonsense, genuine troll bullshit. You know? Like, this movie's trolling me and I'm a sucker and I don't like it. Turn that off.
Yeah, you do
take
feel
that
like
off the
being
TV.
punked.
I'm not going to watch that.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, it is kind of like that, very, very, you know.
100%.
But then you start to kind of understand the two girls, because it's about these two girls, right? You start to understand why they do the things they do. By the end of the movie, you're like, I love them. These characters are incredible. I wish I could spend more time with them. And it's just, and the end is also quite harrowing in a way.
Yeah.
So actually, let me get onto the plot a little bit. There isn't really one. So it starts with these two girls, and it's just like different vignettes of them generally just doing shit. They are hanging out at the beach sometimes. They hang out at a restaurant sometimes. They hang out in the bathroom sometimes. They hang out on a bed.
Yeah.
In one of I don't know if they live together, but they hang out in someone's bed.
You don't really know what their relationship.
You don't know what's going on.
Like, they live together.
Are they sisters?
Friends, lovers.
Oh no, it's
You
because
don't
they also
know.
tell lies to other characters about the relationship to each other.
Yeah.
So like, who knows what these girls are up to? But they just like from the beginning start saying nonsense. But they do kind of like fall into this thing of like somehow they do have to operate in the real world. So they kind of like string men along into restaurants so that they can have these like luxurious meals and there's really like nice food and stuff, and then they don't give the men what they want. They don't like date them. They just like ditch them and they make fools of them, and they're horrendous creatures.
Yeah.
They're truly a
Little
menace.
vixens, yeah.
But they do that, and one of them kind of falls in love with them and sends like a really heartfelt voice note. Well, what? Not a voice note. A phone call.
Yeah.
And he's like, I love you so much. You're the best girl ever. You're beautiful. And they're laughing their asses off at what this guy is saying. So like truly they are being quite
Trolls.
Yeah, quite trolled. And then at the end, well, towards the end, they find their way into a mansion. God knows how. We certainly do not.
Yeah.
And once they're there, they see that there's all this food. There's this like huge banquet hall.
Feast.
And there's this absolute feast.
Yeah.
And they start digging in and they grab a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and they start having a food fight.
Yeah.
Because they're just being so like wasteful. Like part of the reason that the stuff they say at the beginning, the reason they're trolls is they actually say like nothing matters. So then, yeah, they have this feast, right? And they're like just being super wasteful. They're like even stepping on food, I think, at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just, and then they...
Smashing all the plates and glasses, like destroying everything, even rip the curtains off the wall.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Wrap it around themselves.
And the end, yeah, they become absolute gremlins.
Yeah.
And then they climb on the chandelier. Sia found dead in a ditch, bro. These two girls, they're taking it.
Yeah.
And they're just like laughing their asses off. And then the chandelier falls. But it's kind of intricate in a way. Like the editing of the movie is like kind of like Dadaist in the sense that like it's not necessarily the editing is not sequential. Like sometimes you see something and what you cut to is not what happened, but something that's similar. So the chandelier falls, and the next thing you see, the two girls are in the water, and they're asking to like as if the chandelier fell into water, and they're asking to be saved. And these people apparently try to save them, but then they don't actually, because the girls can't even take saving themselves seriously.
Yeah.
And then the next thing that we see is them coming back into the festival hall, into this place, the banquet, and actually try to put everything back together. But some things, like the broken plates, just cannot be put back together. But they tell themselves that they're doing such a good job, that they're doing really, really well. So they lie on top of the table when the room is a complete mess still, and they're like, we did so good. That was so good for us. We're good people. And they lie down, and then the chandelier falls on them. And then the movie ends with a little, very forward, very jarring, but in a way inevitable message that says that the film is really talking about, I feel like it's also dedicated to all those lives that have been trampled on by people who suffer the indignity of lives being trampled on, something like that.
I actually remember this message. It says, to all those that would be upset by the trampling of a piece of lettuce. It says, this film is dedicated only to those who get upset over a stomped upon bed of lettuce.
That's crazy. On the subtitles on Amazon, where I rented this movie, it did not say that. It said the trampling of life. That is much better. That is much cooler.
Oh, well, maybe my subtitles were wrong where I was watching it.
Is it Czech movie?
Yeah, Czech.
If anyone knows Czech, sound off.
Yeah, let us know what the final quote was.
But yeah, also, by the way, you can find this film on YouTube.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm mistaken. It's not the subtitles on Amazon. It's the subtitles on YouTube.
On YouTube, okay.
You can watch this on Amazon.
You know.
And before we talk about the films in comparison, I have to say, of all the movies that we've spoken about so far in the pod, The Cook, the Thief, and The Wardrobe, and all that...
Witch and the Baker, the candlestick maker.
Was the hardest film to find.
Okay. Yeah.
And because I was looking for a digital rental, right? Or like a streaming, and apparently... when the past couple of years it's been taken down of all these sites, even like rentals, not like illegals. And I think there's whispers that Criterion has the rights now, and they're planning a release.
Oh, I see.
So they're removing all the other
pirated ones. Yeah,
that's an inside scoop.
Interesting. Yeah, Doc's got the Criterion.
So hey, if it comes
Criterion
out,
team,
if it comes out on Criterion,
that's where it will be.
That's why.
Yeah.
Because I also did not watch it in full HD.
Yeah.
I would love to.
Yeah, it'd be so great. I'd love to see that in the cinema.
Yeah, imagine that in the cinema.
Oh, I'd die.
How pretty.
Prince Charles could never. It's just In the Mood for Love on a repeat every single day, 24 hours a day. So, food.
Yeah.
I'm just going to dive straight in.
Go into it.
So I've been thinking about this a lot. And what I think is really interesting about The Cook, the Thief, his wife, and her lover is that so many of the scenes where Helen Mirren's character is having her rendezvous with her lover, they take place in kitchens, and they take place in rooms that would, under any other circumstance, be grotesque to have sex in. Like they'll be having sex on a table
with chicken feathers
everywhere, or bits of wilted lettuce, or like just straight up like rotting like carcasses and like bits of meat like hanging on bits of string around the room.
And they'll be going at it, and then this like sommelier walks in and grabs like a piece of fowl right next to them, and they're like, oh hi.
They just kind of carry on. But obviously the food is also present in scenes where like really unpleasant things are happening, when like her husband is being abusive and like they're all sitting at the table and he's just being an absolute tyrant and like screaming at people and like making people do horrible things for his own pleasure. And in this movie, what I felt the food was kind of representing, for want of a better word, is like her own, it can be her own freedom, but also her own kind of cage. Because she can find joy in sex even when she's in the most like disgusting environment. But obviously food is something natural, and it's like, oh, their love is so natural that like when they're together, it doesn't matter that like they're in this like disgusting place as long as they're together, even if it's like rotting pig carcasses hanging around them, So it's like the freedom to like be in love, and like being so in love that like this grotesque image and the things around you like don't bother you. It's like you're just like free to express.
Something that I've been thinking about for a long time, and I've never vocalized it, but this is like exactly right. When you think about food, it ties into what you said, I promise. When you think about food is like an inherently selfish thing, because I'm like, oh, I love this croissant, such a good croissant, and and I eat it and I can tell you how good it is, but unless you eat it, you won't know. You can understand what I say, but you won't know what it tastes like. You won't know. And if I eat it and I eat all of it, then it's selfish. I have a pleasure, and as much as I want to share with you, I can't. So I feel like people eating together has become is like covertly a little ritual to dispel kind of that selfishness, that like awkwardness of selfishness, because we eat together and we all eat the same or similar ideally, and that way we can share and make the situation like socially pleasing.
Okay.
And when you think about sex food, So that, yeah. When you think about food as this like inherently selfish thing, that's how Michael Gambon sees his wife, in a way that like it's something for him to show off. It's a sex that this time it is sex that he can like enjoy, that is his to kind of like have. And she chooses to instead give it to this guy, but in a way where she also presents herself as a way like to be had, you know, to be like, oh, you can enjoy me. I'm sitting here with all these dead chickens.
Yeah.
Come get it.
Come consume and eat.
And like, it's okay. It's not necessarily a bad thing, at least the way that this movie portrays it. But it does show like how it can be done with like love and like choosing to do it, as opposed to taking, which is what the guy does.
Yeah. That's
so yeah. I've been thinking a lot about this movie, and they did present their bodies in a way that was like, oh yeah. You can have some.
It is interesting because like towards the end, like especially when they're in the van and they're naked and they're with all the like pig carcasses and stuff, it's very much like, it is like a very animalistic thing of like they are just this like flesh, and it's so vulnerable. But it's also free because they're like, you know, like
it's their choice
to break away, and it's their choice to escape. But again, with the ending as well, it's like food can be both like her subjugation and like you said, like being like owned and like being like kind of consumed by her abusive husband, but it can also be her taking back control, like during the scenes where she's having sex with her lover in the kitchens and the food is there. It's like she's taking back control of like her own appetite and her sexual desire and her sexual appetite. And then towards the end, in a very literal way, where she's like, you've treated me almost like a piece of meat and like a piece of flesh that you can just use, and now I'm going to do the same to you, and I'm going to literally force you to eat a person and eat this human flesh until you die, until you like cannot anymore. And not only that, but that's going to be the source of like your shame and like your death. And like you said about the ending, she shoots him and she's like, you know, you're a cannibal. It's like, oh well, you have taken from me and consumed me as if I were like an animal and just a piece of flesh, and now I'm going to do the same to you, and like I'm going to shame you for it, and that's going to be the reason that you die. Like she's shooting him and very pointedly saying like, you're a cannibal, you know. Which I just think is so fascinating, that like food is both freedom and it's both subjugation, and it's kind of like flipped in both of these ways,
which I think speaks to kind of like the power of eating, you know, in the sense, because you know, you like consume, you're like, I take something outside and I put it into my body. It empowers me, you know, and it not only gives me energy to live my life, but also feels so good, you know? Which I think ties really well into how Daisies treats food, because when the girls eat food, they're being selfish, they're being destructive, you know. They're like, I want this, and give me some of that cake and some of that pasta, and oh my god, so good. And the men who are paying for all this are like, what's going on?
But it's very much like, interestingly, like in a kind of in sexual terms, it's like for Daisies, it's like you can either consume or be consumed. And they're rebelling against the patriarchy and expectations for women by being the consumers themselves. So
because
like,
they said like, it not only is it wrong for them to be the consumers, but they also say there is no genuine like human way of just taking pleasure, life from someone else, to the point that even the last line being about like trampled on lettuce, which is food for us, you know, like not even that should be trampled on for anybody's pleasure. And the two girls like destroy the world, and they destroy each other. I only just noticed for a minute there, they're fine, but it is that type of movie. I just noticed there is the cutting of people in both films.
Yes, I wanted to talk about that.
So before I get into it, I just want to say, when people ask me what are my favorite movies, I give them a list of 4 or 5, but in my mind, each of them are a number one in a different way. Like the movie that I enjoyed most under these conditions, or the movie that inspires me to make movies, or the movie that I enjoy the most. and Daisies is the only movie I've ever seen that I watch it and I'm like, I wish I had edited that film.
I know,
and that is because of the
completely,
scene where they start cutting up shit while the guy is on the phone pouring his heart out.
Yeah.
They start cutting up shit, and they start first cutting up food.
Yeah.
And they cut it in ways that don't really lend themselves to eating, but they still
Yeah, it's so visceral. Like, one of the images that really sticks to me is when they have like hard-boiled eggs and they're cutting them in half with scissors, and they're cutting
and then they
up.
eat it.
Yeah,
But it's gross.
It's disgusting. Yeah, but it's very interesting in terms of like if we're comparing in this sense like women to kind of objects that are either being consumed, or in this sense they're rebelling against that idea by consuming themselves. But their women's bodies in particular are often kind of cut up and fragmented in the way that they are destroying all these other images. So food is like the representation of the body and the patriarchy and like the woman's body.
Yeah.
Them cutting it up is kind of them taking ownership over the fact that like previously that's how their bodies have been treated. Like when they're going out for dinner with all these men, like clearly it's like, I take you for dinner and then you will give me sex.
Yeah,
you know?
you will
yeah. And like they're not letting the audience like derive pleasure from their bodies in any way, because they're trying to destroy them, and like they're trying to like destroy the world around them, and they're like even cutting up like all the images of themselves on screen are being cut up and sliced.
So those same scissors that they used to cut the food, they then used to cut each other, and in like some cinema brilliance, the film is cutting away where like they cut their heads off and then their head is off floating somewhere else, and the body is like operating without the leg, and it's not bloody at all.
No,
it's more like trippy,
just abstract kind of like fragmentation.
And first they cut each other's hands, then they cut their heads, and then they just go wild and they like confetti each other up, and the film goes crazy when that happens, and it's so good.
Yeah,
that's when I first watching the movie. That's when I was like, okay, this movie sucks.
Yeah, and they put like fun filters, like color filters, on like all the like different like sequences and stuff, so it keeps changing colors. Like all the shots are tinted with like green or pink or yellow. But it's very colorful.
But it's what you were saying, that like they, in the process of destroying, they destroy each other, and it's senseless to destroy each other that way. It's senseless to consume each other that way.
But it also is quite like dark in the sense that if you want to be free, it's basically saying that like for this kind of freedom, or freedom as a woman, isn't really possible, because it's saying that like you will ultimately destroy yourself by not conforming. Yeah, you know.
Or you will participate in the destruction of others.
Yes, yeah. It's saying that like your emancipation is like selfish and destructive to everyone else around you. It's destroying the balance of the world, and like.
But I think not necessarily in a pro-patriarchy way. More so, I think if they are like rebelling against the patriarchy by doing what the patriarchy does, which is assuming control and taking power of the destruction. Because like the beginning and the end of the movies are war shots of bombs, of firearms, of machinery, and that's where like how the beginning and the ending is framed. And it's like, if you aspire to that power, there is nothing but destruction there. So personally, I don't think the movie is saying there is no hope for women. More so that if you fight the patriarchy by becoming the patriarch, you're obviously doomed.
Yeah.
So I thought that was like, I thought that was brilliant. And as well, no, that's a different woman. I don't know my women. No. I feel the cancellation coming on. Fudge. For this is Billy on the Street is back. For $100, name a woman. And I'm like, no, I can't.
I can't do it. Yeah, so with Daisies, another thing that I think is interesting is obviously another part of their journey is overconsumption.
Oh yeah.
And I think I guess it's obvious, but like food is something that's often been used, or like not eating has been used to control women, and like if you control women's bodies and like how they feel about their bodies, then you just control women, period. Because like if you're constantly concerned with not being skinny enough or fitting a certain body type, then your mind is like fully focused on that, you know, and like you're controlling women's minds. It's like why there are billion-dollar industries advertising women and telling them to do things to their bodies, because it's just another form of mind control and like submission. So I think it's really fun that so much of this film is them like literally stuffing their faces with food until they can't eat anymore.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's another form of rebellion to them. It's like, we're going to eat, like, you might expect us to, like, keep our figures, you know, or like to not eat so we can look a certain way and to be skinny and to be desirable.
Because they are physically beautiful.
But they are beautiful.
So you would expect them to eat that way.
Exactly. But they're not. They're just stuffing their faces and it's not even like they're doing it for enjoyment, because they're not like, there's no fireworks, there's no ratatouille fireworks. They're not savoring each mouthful. They're just like,
they're just shoving
endlessly like stuffing their faces.
Maybe I did pick Super Size Me after all.
Yeah. I mean, it's quite disgusting to watch, because you're just like, the mixture of foods that's going in their mouth would be like cake, and then it would be like boiled eggs and sausages and like, you know, pickles. It's like pickles. It's just like all over the place. But I think that's like a fun thing about the film, that like, food is about rebelling against this. It's this expectation.
In a way, I feel like these two movies are more in line with each other than our previous episode.
Definitely.
I feel like they have a lot of like common ground.
Yeah.
Despite one of like, because like also in terms of filmmaking language, right? Both are like very stylized, very stylish, just in different directions. You know, like The Cook and all is like a production. And like, look at this gorgeous sets, look at these gorgeous people, and Michael Gambon, look at this food, you know, like all this. And Daisies is just committed to just being so ratchet all the time.
Yeah, so ratchet. But it is, I guess I'd be interested to know, like, politically, like, what do you think in the political landscape? I don't know much. I can't even remember when Daisies was released, but like,
I'm not entirely sure either. I would check. It's 63, I think.
Okay.
Check. But it was during communism. It was made during the communist bloc.
Well, that does like kind of change the like
66.
Right. Yeah.
1966.
That does change my perception of the film, because the cook, the thieve's wife, and her lover. There's a lot of like. There's been so much academic like discourse around this film, and the fact that apparently Peter Greenaway made it as like a critique of Margaret Thatcher Margaret Thatcher Britain. And like, if you read up on it, there's like so many kind of like similarities and things that kind of point towards like Michael Gambon's character is supposed to be like the personification of Thatcher Britain, and like this kind of like oppressive control.
Kind of like insular.
It's got very political like strands. It's just interesting that politically the background of Daisies is also very charged in the sense that I think I've read something about this before, but I can't remember what it was, but about the reception to the film, you know, like as a film that was released onto like a communist, you know, landscape.
No, it's very kind of like spiteful movies in a way.
It's both spiteful and rebellious, and they're both kind of going against this kind of very strict regime that was kind of like all encompassing and like very domineering over these like two different, you know, places.
And I think even though Margaret Thatcher is a woman, they both speak about the kind of like repercussions of political power on women's bodies. There's this thing called biopolitics, which I only kind of started recently looking into it, which is literally how like politics and the body kind of like interact, you know, that places that as you were saying, like methods of control using the body. And these movies, both of them talk about how like femininity, women live in a state of control through their bodies. So that was quite insightful for both movies.
Especially in terms of when you read up on like vegetarianism and stuff, these issues are kind of intrinsically linked to feminism, because obviously like, you know, if people have a certain attitude towards like meat, and we can just take from the cow, and we can take the cow's like you know, milk, and like we can just take from these animals and take from their bodies and stuff, it's intrinsically linked to feminism in the same kind of way of just like taking from a body and blah blah blah. So those like images of like Helen Mirren's character like completely naked as she's standing in a truck of all these like dead animals.
Yeah.
It also is very striking in that imagery of like the same kind of,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
trapped feeling and being like repressed by this.
Rough times.
Yeah,
rough times.
really rough times.
If you were to screen both movies in a row,
Yeah.
which one would be first?
Oh, I think I'd want to end with Daisies.
I agree.
I think.
I agree.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. Because, like,
Yeah.
it's intense. The ending is rough.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
And yeah, like it can just get like quite a bit with both. But yeah, I would also put the cook first,
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
just to see more of that, of those costumes.
Oh, I know.
My gosh,
I'm
so
really
good.
just dying to see that on big screen.
Yeah,
But, wow.
yeah. It's interesting that food is how it can, like in film, it's also very, it's just like seems to be like inherently political. Like even in Ratatouille, it's like taste is what makes him special. In the menu, for example, it's like food is this like a way of control and also like way of performance. So like food is this thing that we do every day that is like secretly kind of like really charged with like power relations and all these things, which like you don't notice if you don't spend time thinking about these things. But very incisive movies that like tie food with political control specifically.
Well, yeah, because it's such a basic human need.
Yeah.
And if that's like controlled or suppressed in any way, then it's just like the fundamentals of your humanity are you know,
Yeah,
at
it's gonna
stake
be
and at
being,
risk.
yeah.
So it's
If not outright, just negated.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's really
I don't know, anything else that you think?
no, I'm just hungry now.
Nice. Let's go eat.
Cool.